There we go. Looking for that live on YouTube. My name is Lyle Kozloff, Senior Support Engineering Manager based in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. And Lee, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, I am Lee Matos, Senior Support Engineering Manager based in America's East, New York City.
It looks like, Sid, you have the first question, and I'm trying to do that right now, but I think we might need Tom to allow comments on the doc.
Okay. Yeah, it's a small thing, and people can ask questions like this. But I think since our mission is everyone can contribute, it'd be cool if when you have a presentation, you allow for comments on the presentation. Maybe the shadows can check whether that's in the group conversation guidelines, or maybe even in our presentation guidelines. I don't know of a presentation where we shouldn't allow comments.
Agreed. I actually
just changed it to. Okay, good.
Good. So we thought
Thanks.
maybe you won. Any other questions out there?
I saw.
Go ahead, Sid. Go ahead.
Oh, I saw that at some point that there was a reminder like, hey, for GitLab.com, we don't send licenses out. I wonder what's behind that. Like, is there some documentation that says, and now you wait for your license via email, and then people don't get it, and that's got to be clarified? Or does anybody know the story behind that? Why that's a reminder that we need to give people?
I'm the one that put that, so I can flesh that out. That's a common question that we get in our licensing channel. Is we'll get an escalated ticket where it's like sales assisted purchase. My customer hasn't gotten their license for GitLab.com, and so it's something that we have in the FAQ, but I think it's just a knowledge gap in most cases.
Should we send them like a receipt or something? Like, hey, this is your receipt, and you have ordered your license, and it's already installed for you. You don't have to do anything.
I think we do have some of that. Let me pull up the Slack thread where we were discussing this. The actual, I can't speak with authority. I don't know what the actual email says, but an email does go out.
Cool. Yeah, I didn't mean to like give a design proposal, but probably if you get questions about it, something went wrong earlier in that flow.
Yeah, in general, I would say the sales assisted flow it's not always clear, I think, to our sales folk when the subscription gets provisioned, and it's not always clear what the next step for the customer is, which is there's a manual action that they have to take. And I think it's a reasonable assumption that when you book the order, that it all should just get provisioned and be done, and there should be no manual action. But at this point, there is you have to unwrap the box for the thing that you purchased, and you have to put it.
Cool. Thanks for that context.
Great. Looks like Nicole has the next one. Nicole, would you like to vocalize?
Sure. I was looking at the slide about the ticket deflection project, and it looks like we're trying to guess how to help people. Could you give a little bit more details around how we're trying to guess at helping people?
Yeah, sure. I'll expand on this a bit. As they're filling out the form, we've taken what they've put into the ticket subject or title, whichever arbitrary term Zendesk changes it to that week. And what we're doing is doing a very basic search to kind of look up for some keywords and then suggest links to our documentation based on that. The search Zendesk uses for this is Angolia, I believe it's called. It's very rudimentary and not quite where we want it to be. We're also using Zendesk Guide, but we're using a little bit of JavaScript magic. So instead of putting up a Zendesk page, it goes directly to our actual documentation, because that should be the single source of truth, not duplicating work into Zendesk.
Awesome, thanks.
And I added to the comments there that this actually ties into a larger project, a epic that I'm working on, where we actually measure ticket deflection from all of the possible sources. So, and really, I'd say there's two types of ticket deflection. There's the self-service ticket deflection, which is what we're describing here, which is somebody reaches out, they're about to create a ticket or they're at the support portal, and then they find the answer on their own, or they do a Google search or search on our documentation search and they find the answer on their own. And so in that sense, if the answer was not available already, a ticket would have been created, but because the answer was available in documentation, an issue, or elsewhere, that ticket is essentially deflected because the customer found the answer on their own. The other way we deflect tickets is through docs first ticket deflection, and that's if somebody creates a ticket and the answer is out there in our documentation, our handbook, issues, our forum, something like that, and then we provide them with the link to the single source of truth for that answer or solution. But there are a lot of different ways that a ticket could be deflected. Right now, we're talking about the support portal. When we're creating a ticket, how could we possibly guide the customer to a solution without them having to create the ticket?
And if I did a quick scan of the Epic, it looks like you're getting ready to make dashboards for that, but we don't quite have figures yet. Is that accurate?
Right. Yeah. And so there are a lot of variables in the equation. I'm working on the dashboards and all the metrics right now. For support specifically, we basically have the data. There's not a dashboard, but it's in Google Analytics, and we're currently manually pulling that data, and that's where those numbers in the slide came from. But that will be planned to automate, get it in SciSense or a source of truth that everybody can refer to.
That's really awesome. Hopefully, it looks like it's saving a bunch of time already, so hopefully that keeps improving.
Yep, so I think I have the next question. My question was around, do we track how our ticket volume corresponds to the number of paid licenses? I guess from my kind of, naive perspective, I would assume that some of the growth that we've seen since January is because we have more people using GitLab, but just curious if that's bared out in the data.
Yeah, I jumped in, and then Donique, if you're on the call, you can feel free to vocalize as well. John, on slide 4, we break it out by sales segment. So that gives you a sense: large, SMB, mid-market, average number of tickets opened per customer in that segment. So that gives you a sense, and we may have some more finer grain dashboards available, but I think that's this is the one that might give you an intuition. Does that help, John?
Yeah, I think that one, the way that I understand it, shows like the number of tickets per segment, and that seems relatively flat. So that would seem to support the idea that the growth is in tickets. This 24% increase that you note on slide 5 is because of increased usage and not because of increased issues among our users or per user. But I was just curious if there was
I'm thinking on that. I'm not
see
sure I yet agree. I will think deeper and go from there, but Donique.
Yeah, so I can talk a little bit about this. We have a goal for the ticket to subscription ratio, just to get the ratio down so that there are less tickets for the amount of subscriptions that we have. So Sean McCann set up a dashboard with the data team so that we can track that and start to align our goals more closely with that. In the past, we just sort of put together a ratio by using Zendesk volume. And this is a mix between what I would categorize as good tickets, so just people asking questions and wanting to purchase things, and then maybe tickets that aren't as great, where they're running into issues or they need help with something that we actually expect them to be able to do. So it is a mix. We don't distinguish between those when we look at the ratio, but we do have data about what kind of categories are good and where we don't mind more volume, and then tickets where we want to bring the volume down for tickets where customers are struggling. But I just linked the growth dashboard that we previously used to get a overview of the subscriptions that are purchased by month. And I'm not sure how we can make the volume, the Zendesk volume available, but we do have that as well. I'm just not sure how we can make that public, because I think you need access to Zendesk Explore. Maybe we can chat to the managers if someone is interested in that data to expose that.
Thank you.
I think I have the next question. The Docker Hub red limit is like starting this week, and I was wondering if we see customer tickets popping up already. And the second question would be if there's anything where we can help you with, like creating content with blog posts, more documentation. I started working on a monitoring plugin which are linked in the agenda. Is there anything where we can like help in advance make this a smooth operation?
Officially, we saw 3 tickets so far. Sorry, Jason. But we do expect further. That's just about the information. Go ahead, Jason.
Yeah, Ilya beat me to grabbing the numbers, but we've seen 3 so far. We did prepare for this when it was kind of announced, when it was surfaced last week. We've got a Zendesk macro in place, contains good information, a link to our blog post. It also contains a tracking tag so that we can kind of quickly see how many tickets we're getting, how impactful this has been to support. I see Lyle linked to the most recent MR for that to add the blog post. So not sure what we can do to continue preparing for this, but if y'all have any ideas, suggestions, we're always up for it. Anything that can kind of help us move quicker on these, it's always a plus.
Yeah, so far it seems okay. I mean, this was announced back in August, right? So I think there's some people that are going to have a scramble, and then others where they won't see a large effect. But I mean, kudos to you and to the rest of the team that was working on this. It was really, really helpful to have that blog post up quickly. Thank you to like Nordine and Greg who helped get the macros together. And I'm sure that I'm missing people because I know this is a lot of activity in a very short order. And so from my perspective, I feel like we're prepared as we can be, and we have to make the small iterations as we get more data from our actual customers.
Yeah, I foresee the first day being a scramble when a lot of customers don't realize that they're over the limit, and that being a zone where it starts to get a challenge. But I think we're prepared, and we adjust like Lyle said. So first probably week is going to be rough.
I think it will be interesting to see when the limit is actually happening, because right now I think we are limited to 5,000 requests every 6 hours again. And it's not the hard enforced limit, which will be 100. So we will be watching it, and we should be watching it. And I'm happy to see that everyone is prepared.
Any other questions? Points of discussion? Rhyming couplets? I was considering putting it up in here that I wanted all questions in the form of a rhyming couplet, but maybe next time.
Gotta give us a little warning. I think I used to do all of my support tickets on April 1st in haikus when I used to be in support. So totally doable. Challenge us next time.
Well, haikus was my first thought, and I was like, that one probably needs more warning. But I thought most people could pull a rhyming couplet out. All right. If there's no more poetry, then we'll call it. 3, 2, 1. Have a good day, y'all.
Thank you.
Bye.